primary ignition.
This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core. World. News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright center of the galaxy, I'm Greg Kondak, and you're listening to Core World News, your online news service providing in-depth coverage of the latest stories from every sector of the galaxy. Now for your news segment rundown for January 19th, 2023. 99 problems, but a bad batch ain't one. But first, this news.
All right, thank you very much, Grex. Welcome to another week of Core World News. We're excited to be here. We wanted to be streaming right now. We wanted to do a lot of things and ran into a series of problems, as we do. This is still a pretty janky space station. We haven't quite got the holo projector working correctly yet, but we're really excited.
Good news, we're going back to Mandalore, and
Yes.
we are going to cleanse ourselves
Yes.
in the, the waters
Yeah. Well,
below. So.
prove ourselves worthy again to.
I know it. That is my favorite thing. Why don't we just dive right into this Mandalorian trailer? This was like the
It's not like we've been doing this for an hour already. Let's keep going.
No one knows. It was 10 minutes. It was 10.
Unfiltered
That's all.
Mandalorian talk.
Practice makes
after
perfect.
this.
We're going to be
true.
extra crisp now that we've practiced this intro. Yes, everyone, thanks and welcome for listening to all this. But let's get right into it. First thing we see is a bunch of rainbow-colored Mandalorians, just like really multicolored, mismatched gear, pretty amazing stuff. And I mean, he's got
You get
a
an orange.
cadre.
You get an orange helmet.
Oh yeah,
You get a white helmet.
Yeah.
You get an orange and white helmet. Get ready, people.
yeah.
Get ready.
I mean, we're clearly doubling down on the fact that we're going to see a lot of other Mandalorians this season, right?
Yeah.
Which again kind of leads me to the question of like, why is the show called The Mandalorian, the singular titular Mandalorian, right? I feel like, we've heard rumors that they might rename the series after season 3 to call to call The Mandalore. I've heard that rumor floating around. Probably just like people on Reddit doing whatever, but there's something to that, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're going to distinguish him, you have to do something other than just call him what he is. The race he belongs
what does
to.
the Mandalorian mean? Does it mean like people devote to like the ways of the Children of the Watch and the old ways of Mandalore, and this is the way and all that, or is it sort of like whatever's happening with Sabine or Bo-Katan, like this sort of like this fight for the Darksaber and whatever that means, I think there's two different paths here, so it's going to be interesting. These new Mandalorians look like they're going to offer more knowledge about what it means to be a Mandalorian. So I think that the show is just really exploring, walking the path of the Mandalorian way. I don't think it's not so much the Mandalorian, but it's just, and also there's hints at the idea of the fabled Mandalore being. A mantle that maybe someone might,
Right. The armor mentioned the Mandalore, right? In the Bryce Dallas Howard Book of Boba Fett, episode 5, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's what I'm wondering. Like not Spectre, but like the occurrences of legends and all of those like great Mandalorian stories are going to be hanging over this. If they're using the Mandalore, and they've got the Darksaber, that's all in the Legends stuff. So I'm wondering how much of this Filoni's going to preserve. But it's definitely a new story, right? They're contemporarizing it. Filoni's made this all like this mythology, the current mythology of Mandalorian with clones and rebels, Clone Wars and rebels. And we find about their fall and the purge and all that. So yeah, there's a lot of ways it could go here, but it's mind blowing that he's like, oh, it's going to be him and a cadre of Mandalorians. Like, where do they come from?
Yeah.
It's interesting that so many Mandalorians are being introduced because at the same time that we're delving into Mandalorian history, because I think we might find out they're a warring culture, like Spartans, basically, and then they all might just turn on each other. You might get like a royal rumble of basically all of these Mandalorians that are sort of being introduced. So I'm kind of looking out for that, because that was actually the stuff that I was most fascinated with in sort of the old Legends take on the Mandalorians. And sort of what I'm hoping this new canon take is that you're sort of just Spartans essentially.
Yeah.
Well, you also have the interesting, like, the way Boba Fett was kind of introduced in the old EU, which then the old EU also retconned itself. But originally he was like the last Mandalorian, right? And then that was not the truth. But part of me wonders, is this prophetic, right? This idea of the title of this show is The Mandalorian, where like because of this possibility, Grant, that you mentioned that they're warring, that like Din Djarin is kind of the last Mandalorian standing at the end of this whole series. Which is bleak, but
Yeah. Well.
wouldn't put past it.
Okay. Okay. That's wild. I
Yeah,
think
but
they're
in this
just getting
trailer, you do
started.
get what looks like a Tar Vizsla or like the Mandalore sort of like helmet. Like you do see a shot of I think like what looks like an aged sort of like rusty Mandalorian helmet. It's a great
Yeah.
shot. It's pretty cool. So hopefully we do delve into the history there. But let's talk about other stuff we see in this trailer because there's so
that was the
much.
first 2 frames.
Yeah. Right. But before we do that, can I jump into because Grant, you had mentioned, I know we're gonna make this like 4 hours long. Grant, you had mentioned like you were kind of talking about this idea and mentioning things that we saw in the past. Do we see the Darksaber at all in this preview? I just realized you mentioned the Darksaber. I don't think we see it at all in this preview, right?
Nope.
I wouldn't be surprised if the
interesting.
season is just yet another stepping stone to whatever this final battle might be, and then the Darksabers maybe won there by someone.
Yeah.
Or at the end, someone does rise with it that you're like, wow, they should be like, yeah, they should lead the Mandalorians. And that could be involve Thrawn, honestly. So I don't know.
It definitely could.
Long-term plans, maybe.
You guys,
Yeah. All right, now we can talk about who we
wild.
saw.
You guys are wild. Already going crazy. You bring in Thrawn into the first like 5 minutes of the broadcast.
We saw a lot of Mandalorians and then just recklessly speculated about the future and what that could be.
I'm excited.
Sound like us at
Not
all.
just Mandalorian, but the Mandoverse.
I'm excited to recklessly speculate about this trailer, though. There's just so much. I was like, I kept having people come up to me and be like, "Yo, did you see this? Yo, did you see this? Yo, like all week." And I was like, I need to watch that like in slow motion and go through to see what else
I need
is
to
there.
think about what I just saw.
Yeah, to really like focus on it. And yeah, it's amazing. So all right, so we go through that. We've got we see one of the Mandalorians have a Skull Clan insignia on his shoulder. Grant, you had said that looked familiar, maybe something from Rebels. We can't seem to pin it down though. As to
100. I think these are Mandos we've met before, but we'll see.
All right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some Rebels connection here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Famous last words, right? Okay, we got that. We see the NP-1 Starfighter. This is Mando's new muscle car in space. We see him going in hyperspace. Grogu looking cute. And then we see some text here. It's like, who are we? What do we stand for? I was going to say that's kind of exactly what you were saying, Grant, earlier. It was like, that's a question. Like, we're going to...
Oh, yeah. The sort of like... the Lucas sort of style iconic sayings, everything that it has to do with the original trilogy are sort of alive and well with Filoni and Favreau as creators, because you have this sort of wonderful juxtaposition of this is the way next to may the force be with you.
Yeah.
I think that's really just them paying tribute to George and being like,
yeah,
we're going to keep whatever kind of fire you had, we're going to try to keep that going here in this show.
Totally.
I think they're doing it brilliantly.
Yeah, it's not by accident they're next to each other in the preview, right? I mean, like it's amazing how much this is the way has become this generation's The Force will be, may the Force be with you. Yeah,
I was thinking that same thing. But I was actually just saying, this was Din Djarin saying like, who are we and what do we stand for? So, I mean, again, to the earlier comment, it's hopefully this season we're defining, what the new way is. Din Djarin is an orthodox Mandalorian. He is like the hardest of the hardcore, and but he's bent the rules, but he's trying to make amends, and it's interesting to see if like the Mandalorians come back, they come back with the old way.
Right.
Or are they defining it, or what's going to go on there? But yeah, then,
would have been a fun bow if Mando was sort of connected to like this, like Rey and like Finn and the sequel trilogy in some way.
Yeah.
You never know. Like he protected Rey's parents or so. I don't know. Just a wild, really out there take. Like that was the last mission.
I wouldn't put it past it. It's a very, very small galaxy, but like this whole thing of like, Din Djarin, like, he's a person of deep, deep faith who, over the past 2 years or 2 seasons, his faith has been tested. I mean, like, he basically, if you look at it from his perspective, I feel like he did what he thought a Mandalorian should do, which is protect his family, right? His adopted family, and that required him to show his face. And so
What-
you get this thing where you have Orthodox, where you have two competing things of just like, well, what do I do? Like, do I let my family die and not show my face? Is that is that the right way? And so I wonder if going forward, the big thing is like, it's less of like, this is the way. It's like, what is the way?
Right.
Like, can we define what the way actually is? Because it's not clear.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they answer that in this thing.
We got to dissect this trailer. I really don't want to go to tinfoil corner over here.
Do it,
Grant, you're
I
already
do.
in
Yes,
tinfoil
you do.
corner.
And
touching a nerve
we
here.
want you to.
What if? All right, guys, this is a big what if. All right, what if the entire story of Mando is that he's the one that beats Thrawn? Like this is this person we're seeing, someone who's learning basically how to beat Thrawn, which is
Interesting.
That's what all the lessons are essentially. Like we can pack his life with so many lessons and sort of these lethal dealings and
I really like this idea.
you know, sort of countering all these, you know, ne'er-do-wells, like in learning from that as a sort of means to then battle Thrawn. And then also, if you're lost in an unknown part of the galaxy, the edges of the galaxy, who better to navigate the wilds than like Mando? He feels very in touch with sort of the wilderness on any planet he goes to.
Yeah. I mean, and he's also like the hero of the age that's needed, right? Like it is such a it's the old west at this point in the history of the New Republic, so it makes sense that that's the type of person that is needed.
Yeah, just a wild thing.
Yeah, that's a wild theory.
I love
But
it.
I can
Wild
see how
theory.
it works
I don't know.
there. You know, the Chiss are tough, but like maybe there's something the Mandalorians do that, you know, Thrawn can't account for.
He earns beating Thrawn if he's this storied. If it's like he's getting seasons of television, like isn't that someone who's earned a
and you are watching the character evolve, right? Like this is a post Breaking Bad television universe where characters actually do develop over time, right? And you do see him change quite a bit. I mean, when we first meet him in the first episode, he's a robot. Like he is basically just a robot, right?
Yeah.
And now at this point, like we've seen him, like I think the 2 episodes buried in the middle of Book of Boba Fett are really key moments for the Mandalorian. He is deciding to try to recapture his Mandalorian identity, and also like reforming his family. Like there's huge moments in those that are just really defining for this character in terms of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's becoming battle tested. He's had his faith tested. And he's going to come out a different man.
There's a Kowakian monkey lizard in a tree. We got to get back to what's really important here.
Oh man, yeah. So there's some significance. I think there's significance in everything, but there is significance of that Kowakian monkey lizard because the last time we were in Navarro, they were roasting on a spit. So
true. Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't Navarro. It might have been Tatooine.
Good point.
But yeah. And like now they're just living free in the trees.
No, when we saw them roasting, it was Navarro.
That was Navarro.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a really interesting point. We see like maybe part of the story is the West is being settled.
Yeah.
Right, like the Wild West is being tamed.
Yeah.
But this isn't Navarro. This is another planet, right?
No, that's Navarro.
I think it's Navarro.
It's Navarro.
Grief cargo.
Oh, so it's just oh wow.
Yeah, because there's a long series. He like lands at Navarro. It's clearly Navarro. He's walking down there, sees a Kowakian monkey lizard.
Mando.
And then like, you know, Carl Weathers keeps looking better every time, you know, just getting aging like fine wine.
The drip is just on another level at this point.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like Chandrillan wear. I already forgot about Chandrillan wear. It's a meme of like, you're looking behind you at the Chandrillan wear, but ahead of you is the Grief Karga poncho and like that whole drip.
Perrin is jealous of that Grief Karga's sick drip. Yeah, it's pretty lit. And then
it looks massive too. I was like, whoa, he's like, he's back. Grief's back.
Also, I didn't want to get too far. Like literally, I went frame by frame on this thing for like 20 minutes before we hopped on.
Yeah. Let's go frame by frame. It's that.
But so the next line they have after "Who are we? What do we stand for?" It is Mandalorians don't just have to learn how to fight. We have to navigate the galaxy. That way you'll be never lost. So I took from those last 2 sentences that they're indicating we're going to be training Grogu in the ways of Mandalore.
Yeah.
Like he's like, okay, you're not a Jedi. I'm going to make you a Mandalorian.
Yeah, that was my takeaway too. This is the
Okay.
training of Grogu.
Yeah.
He is wearing like the Beskar mithril. Like he's already. I mean, he's already halfway there. He's basically his helmet.
Yo.
Does he get a helmet?
Did you see what was in the smelting pot?
Are we playing with something we shouldn't be right now? Like is this
fire?
gonna be a reveal? Like, does he get a little like tennis ball size helmet?
I told you guys. I told you.
I know you did. I know. And Ben, as we remember,
Yeah,
is
Ben.
the Boba Fett
I think this was
whisperer.
the fanfic after season 1. You were like, he's gonna be like Mando's child.
He's gonna wear
and be
Beskar with like his
Mando
ears sticking
2.0.
out. Like this is gonna be, or maybe some ears around it.
Do you?
That's gonna look like a little like goblin or like a little like gremlin
Right,
or
here's the thing,
something.
like,
I don't
He
know.
needs a
I know
T-Visor,
we-
bruh. He needs a T-Visor for sure. But like maybe the ears
know
stick
we-
out of the T-Visor helmet.
All right, that's the T-shirt.
All
Grogu needs a T-visor.
Yeah.
It's like that is the T-shirt. All right, printed.
I know we think we want that, but do we really
No.
want that? Because I keep trying to picture it, and I feel like it might break the show.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm like, I don't know if we need to go.
Tell
there.
me
That's
they
like
weren't teasing
that's like
it, though.
fan service. You know,
They were
Yeah,
teasing
but
it.
no.
Maybe, she's making a shoulder pauldron or who knows what, like another weapon. But it looks like a very small cup-shaped thing that could fit over a Grogu's head. I'm just saying.
And it does cut to them looking at Mando and Grogu looking at each other. Like it does seem to suggest.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
wait,
Oh,
what's
it suggests. It suggests.
you know what? Now I'm suddenly buying into this because Ben, for some reason, you seem to have zeroed in on this
I'm not even
show
saying
and,
I
like,
want it
the
that much.
Mando-
I just thought that was like, if he's going to be a Mandalorian, I mean, are you really a Mandalorian without sick armor? Like, no.
especially if you're with the armor, like that's the rules. That's the rules.
I know. The mithril vest is kind of understated for a Mandalorian, but that would just look ridiculous. But the T-Visor helmet, that's a must-have, I think. Anywho, what else do we have here? So we already talked about Pelimoto Motto. He obviously goes to, this is like greatest hits. He sees like all these people from earlier seasons.
Yeah, we see a couple of familiar faces.
Yeah, so he'll go back to Tatooine at some point. That's where we get the "May the Force be with you" / "This is the way" back-to-back lines, which is cool.
Oh, that's right. For some reason, my mind blanked out that means he's going back to Tatooine, and I'm like, can we not?
It could be quick. It could be quick.
It could be quick. Sorry, it's nothing against any of the shows. I'm just
Those
like,
backgrounds
I'm
are
go to new
I'm
places.
Tatooine
You
down.
gotta use that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we see Captain Tiva.
Yep, there's something dangerous happening out there, says Captain Tiva. So, wow, he's back. They're still like, what? I don't know if they're still holding on to the Rangers of the New Republic idea or what, but they're giving some sense of
See,
time.
I thought Rangers of the New Republic was going to be like a Captain Tiva led like X-wing series or something.
Yeah.
Because he was set up. He was like in so many episodes. I was like, oh, does he get a series now? Because he's intriguing.
It seemed like it was going to be him plus another character who will not be showing up ever again in the Star Wars universe.
No, it's just going to be like Walker, Texas Ranger, but it's going to be Captain Tiva. Outer Rim Ranger. I don't know. It'll be a wild show if it happens.
I would dig
crazy if true. Yep. Then where do we go?
Yeah.
Hoo-wee.
Well, then we get a new location for the Mandoverse, but not a new location that we've seen recently, which is going back to Coruscant.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Dr.
Which is fascinating.
Pershing is flying above the cityscape.
So the timeline just clicked in my brain. So but think about it. This is post-Imperial, the fall of the Imperial Coruscant, which is exciting. We haven't been back.
Right.
That's true. Right.
Unless it's a flashback.
Right. Post-Empire Coruscant. I know. Trevorrow wanted to have this place all burned, like a burnout husk.
With like
werewolves and
dogs
stuff.
or something.
Yeah.
Werewolves running around. Yeah.
Space wolves.
Guys, that's not canon.
Yeah, it didn't
Get
happen.
that out of here.
So,
Get that out.
I guess so. Coruscant's fine. Coruscant's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, there's probably a cloning facility, alive and well in this sort of the New Republic Coruscant.
Yeah, because the Emperor put a whole bunch of crazy stuff there. I mean, we know there's a Sith temple underneath the Jedi temple, and that was where he was based out of, and then military operations. There's definitely a cloning facility on Coruscant somewhere. Great.
Yeah.
What happens to the Jedi Temple when they resettle Coruscant after the Empire falls? Like what?
Based
What
on like
canonically? What
canonically,
happened?
We
we
don't
don't
know,
know.
I don't
but
think.
The Jedi
like,
Temple.
nothing because
Which is like
Luke,
Imperial HQ,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
what?
It might be.
It feels like Luke never.
Does Luke
set
go
foot-
there and be like, this all like everyone needs to leave?
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
happened? I need
yes.
to see that story. I
Yeah.
mean, like that is a legendary story.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if
mean-
there was something in Bloodlines. If it was in anything, it would be, or maybe
That's-
Aftermath.
Like, remember when Luke reestablished the Jedi Temple, like the ancient Jedi Temple, got rid of all the Imperial, regalia and everything around there?
Aftermath and Bloodlines did not touch on any of the stuff because they had a clear like you cannot touch Jedi stuff.
Because
Oh,
they went to Coruscant. You're right, but they didn't touch. You're right. They didn't touch Jedi stuff at all in those books, did they?
They didn't because we know that they didn't know what they were going to do yet with Luke and with the Jedi Order, like based on the stories of kind of the production. But based on like Grant, I think you're kind of right. Like based on the Luke that we get, and like even the Luke that we see in the flashbacks in Book of Boba Fett, or not flashbacks, but like current moments in Book of Boba Fett, it feels like Luke was very much in the wild type of Jedi master. Like right, his school was on, I can't remember the name of the planet, but it was not industrial at all. It was not city at all. So I can't imagine him being, which makes sense based on who Luke is, right? Growing up on a desert planet, it'd be weird for him to be like, yeah, I'm cool being in a giant megapolis.
But there were
right?
like so many Force artifacts on
Yeah,
Coruscant.
wasn't it?
What
Isn't that just
happened
the
to
place
those?
of power? It's like the Temple Mount.
Yeah.
It's like
It was like
like the most important place in the galaxy, like theoretically, because don't you learn that like the Jedi built their temple on top of a Sith
right,
temple,
and then another
like,
Sith temple was built on top of
the
that.
Jedi, and the Jedi built on the Sith, and like it just was like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that spot is apparently crazy.
And I know that like Sidious was hoarding like stuff too, and I know a lot of it went to Coruscant. It probably went to other facilities too, but yeah, like what happened to that stuff? All right,
Right. Good question.
Yeah, I don't know what would ever answer that. All right, so then, but then we have some more exciting things. We see a cave with some bioluminescence, and then a little artifact gets pulled out of the dust. This was the most like hard hitting scene for me because I was like, is that the Mandalore's helmet? It's certainly a Mandalorian helmet that he pulls out of that cave.
Right.
Maybe it's just the debris from the purge.
That's my guess. Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't know if it was like an artifact, like the Mandalore's helmet. I don't know why that was the first thing that struck
That's what
me.
I thought it was. That's what I mean. I didn't think it was that,
Dude.
but just I guess I did.
Because it looks
on the first
old.
one.
It's like rounded instead of as like boxy.
Yeah. I just figured that's interesting. I love that take. I had a very boring take of just like this is him on Mandalore seeing the aftermath,
Right.
Of just like it just reminds me of if you've ever been to the catacombs in Paris, it felt like that, right? Like just this giant massive graveyard.
I mean,
Like it's just one of many relics that are there of
Yeah.
wars past, and just sort of as he learns about the culture. Yeah, definitely. I hope they explore the Mandalore story further. Like that's something.
yeah.
I hope they
I
explore.
wonder if there's like
Yeah.
if there's a trove of Beskar on that planet. Like I can't imagine it not being stolen.
Well,
Yeah.
couldn't you just theoretically melt down that
Yeah.
helmet and that helmet?
Yeah, you could. And then every other
Sure.
piece of gear
Yeah.
you find,
But I am, but that would make a ton of sense. But I'm sure there's some connection to their belief that like you can only melt it down if it's won, not taken. Right? Like that would be to me would be the argument. It's just
That wouldn't
like,
be surprising.
You did not win
Or
this honorably. you
it
can't-
must rest where it
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. But I know that like that whole the what are they covert of Mandalorians when they split from whatever that first planet was it Navarro?
It was Navarro.
Yeah.
They were all
Wasn't it?
sewers.
in
of
Navarro.
Yeah.
But then they just leave a
they just
pile
left it behind
of
and she
Beskar?
reused it.
Did
yeah.
she reuse it? Okay, I couldn't remember.
Well, yeah, because she was hauling it
Okay.
into
Well,
her
there you go.
armory to melt it down, I think. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
so
there you go. Yeah, so it seems like it's all fair
They've
game.
got a lot of raw materials to outfit some new Mandalorians. So I don't know
Yeah.
if in that first scene, if they're new Mandalorians or they're old ones that came back or they're recruits or
Oh, interesting.
Is-
Good point. Yeah.
is I can't think of his name. Justified. Cobb Vanth.
Anthony
Is
Hawk.
Cobb Vanth there? Yeah.
Cobb Vanth.
Cobb Vanth.
Justified.
Just
Coming back
Coming
soon.
back. Yeah. Season 6 for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we did that. The cave. Jedi.
And then-
Order 66. Have some.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get more of the flashback from Grogu's flashback, I guess, tied to his origin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always, guys, I'm going to put my money down on R2. I think R2 is coming to save him.
I love
That's-
it.
I like
That's
that
what
guess,
my money's
yeah.
been for a long time.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like he's Grogu has repressed all those memories, but Luke helped free some of them. So maybe we'll get them slowly coming back over the
Yeah.
season.
But if you remember, it was at the end of season 2 when Luke and R2 show up to save the day, right? Grogu, this is my memory, Grogu's kind of hiding behind Din Djarin's leg until he sees R2.
Yeah.
And once he sees R2, that's when he
Yeah.
comes out
Okay.
from around his legs.
And Luke
And it
wouldn't
may
just
not be
take him,
this.
I don't unless there's some sort of
Yeah.
other connection, which I think is like, oh yeah, R2 saved you a long time ago with my father.
Or like he had some, if the memory's not there, he just had some like,
Are you jumping onto the
warm
bandwagon? Are you
So-
coming
I-
aboard,
100%.
Adam? Let's go.
I love your theory because I can't think of a better one.
Where
because we
was
talked
he
a bit
during
about-
that time? I need to know. I want to know what he was doing at that exact moment.
He was
I
rolling
don't know.
right
He could
beside
theoretically be doing
Anakin
anything. 'Cause
Skywalker.
couldn't he jet anywhere
killing
and sort of
younglings.
jet back, or be an Anakin starfighter and be at the temple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or wasn't even a starfighter. I don't know. He took a really strange little speeder ship to the temple.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, he didn't. That was later.
Yeah.
You
there's
don't
not
see
enough-
how
I mean,
Anakin gets to the
No.
No, I'll have to rewatch episode
Yeah,
3,
you
but I
don't
don't think
see
there's enough there to
I think he
not do what
leaves-
you're,
yeah.
You
there's
actually
enough
do not
plausible
see
to
how
do
he
it.
just marches up the
I
stairs.
think
You don't
he
see
leaves
R2's there.
R2 in Padme's suite when he
I think
never
you're
goes
right.
back.
I think you're right, Ben. I think he is in
yeah.
Padme's
And he doesn't
suite.
go
I think
back
that's-
until he's about to head off to Mustafar. So he kills all those
We'll have to
younglings
rewind the
and
tape
then
on
goes
that.
back for
I'm watching tonight.
Yeah.
I'm like,
But we don't know, but we don't see anything from R2. Like, there's enough plausible deniability there. Or just like, you can just be like, yeah, R2 was just there. Like, what, yeah, I don't know. He hopped in a taxi. Who knows? He used
Yeah.
his little jets. Remember the jets that everyone was so angry about in
that's what I'm
episode 2?
saying.
Well, he used those
He
to
could
blast
theoretically
over
get
to the
anywhere.
Jedi
And
Temple.
the door looks like it's being
Yeah.
sawed open in the
I mean,
shot, basically,
yeah.
from this
Yeah.
trailer.
there's a world
looks
where
like someone's like,
there's a world where Anakin goes and picks up R2 and then meets up with the 501st to stampede the temple, and R2's there and sees what happens and just like splits off and like starts saving Jedi as Anakin's killing Jedi. That could be a thing.
yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah, like part of me doesn't feel like just because Anakin became Vader that he doesn't still want his
With him,
droid
right.
with him.
And I
Yeah.
feel like R2 is, maybe Anakin says wipe like the holologs, and R2 doesn't. Basically, he's
Yeah.
like, no, I want Obi-Wan to find out about this. You need to go down. Like
Yeah.
I am the narrator.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
I kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
R2 just being the mastermind.
Me too.
But it does connect a bit to like Lucas's thing. Like they're the storytellers. They're there for everything, right? Like that was his original thought. So it'd be kind of amazing. Like he was this little fly in the background, just kind of not wiping out the. I like that idea a lot. I really
could
like that
just be
idea that he
Anakin
was given that
about
order
to
and was
go
just
in
like,
there.
okay,
Let's just all jump on this theory. I'm in. It sounds great. I can't
do
think
it,
of
man.
a better
Plant our
one.
flag.
Let's go big. All our chips on R2.
Well, I'm trying to think of main characters and where are they at this time.
Yeah, I mean,
But it also could be completely new character. We're also not thinking, hey, new character.
yeah,
See?
yeah. I mean, which would be fine, but
Right, it could
Yeah.
be. It would have to be a new character if it wasn't
right,
like one of
or
our
it could be like
mains.
Quinlan Voss. Oh, I mean, he's never on Coruscant, but I don't know. It could be someone random. That
Weirdly, R2 feels the most
yeah,
organic.
I know, right.
Yeah, weirdly. Yeah.
It's a weird sentence to
All
say.
right.
But
We've
yeah.
debated this a bunch. Next,
Well, and Grogu's small enough to store him inside.
oh, he could go inside.
That's what it's all about.
Totally.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love
Yeah.
Get inside there.
I love that.
That's what I was
He's
picturing.
just clinging to the back of him as he's rolling around. That'd be
Yeah.
kind of hilarious. Okay, so next scene, Mando is in a starfighter because we see his face and then we see the outside of the starfighter in a dogfight with a couple of TIE fighters. But the starfighter is a Mandalorian starfighter called Comric class fighter. It's made by Mandal Motors. But we've seen this starfighter before in lots of Clone Wars and Rebels episodes. It's like the default Mandalorian stock starfighter. But for some reason, I'm pretty sure it's Din Djarin that's piloting it.
It sure looks like it. They're heavily insinuating that to the point where if they show me that scene and someone else flying it, I'm going to be very annoyed at this preview.
Yeah.
Like it's stark lying because you're cutting in and out.
I'm just thinking, like, who has all those starfighters? I mean, the only person I can think of is not Sabine Wren, is Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan.
Like we know she's been hoarding like a military vehicles and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure we saw in the teaser she's on Mandalore, still in her like burnout palace.
Yeah. I mean, Katie Sackhoff has talked a lot on social media about shooting and being involved and being a part of the season. So again, it's interesting. Like we don't see the Darksaber, we don't see Bo-Katan in this preview. We know both of those have to be there. So there's a lot going on this season that they're just not showing us in this preview.
Right.
Yeah, those were tied.
But what they do show us is a droid bar.
Absolutely. Sorry, Grant. What were you gonna say? You were like,
those were TIE Advance.
did we see some TIE Advance?
Right.
Oh,
Woo.
yeah, nice. Good
Is that
call.
Thrawn like level threat at that point? Just Thrawn.
Could be.
TIE Advance.
Could
Yeah,
be.
I don't know. Those came around in Rebels. I remember when they announced them, but the only person I've ever seen fly one is Vader, really. So that's cool.
Yeah.
They made more, and they're like, you know what? We'll just bust them out. That's a good catch, Grant. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No.
ruin the droid surprise. Not that it's a surprise, but it is
Not at
a
all.
huge drop there, and only because of the text message that you sent me, Adam, early this week, or sent us both on our chat. Why are you excited about this droid bar?
I mean, I'd be very excited if it was just simply a bar from droids. But man, am I hoping we're gonna get some plot with the droid Gatra in this season, which would be a fantasy for me, a dream come true. Which, for those who don't know, we talk about all the different types of crime families that are big in the galaxy, the Hutts, the Black Sun,
Crimson
and so
Dawn.
forth. One of them that Crimson Dawn. One of them that we don't get a lot, other than in expanded universe stuff, is the droid Gatra, which is just exactly what it sounds like. It's just a crime family made up of droids, of sentient droids.
Yeah.
So.
And it was quite a mixed bag in this bar too. So there's a lot of R series astromechs, so like R2 looking ones. We got a couple protocol droids, one that looks just like our C3PO, but and then another one that I could not place them in the back left. It looks like it's like sort of like it looks like C3PO, but his face has been exploded a little bit. It looks familiar. I thought it was at Chalmun's Cantina, but I went through all the characters at Chalmun's Cantina this afternoon, and it wasn't there. Yeah, as one does.
Yeah, no, but it definitely looks familiar. But I also can't place
it either. It might even be sequel trilogy or something. And then like one of those
wasn't like EV99 or 88.
No, but EV99 type or EV was there too, right? Tending bar and maybe
bartender.
Yeah, those are great. And then some like a couple B1 battle droids at a bar.
Yeah,
that's kind of amazing. Do you think they're the muscle? If it is the droid,
guys, we're having like the B1 battle.
No, they look like there's one sitting there drinking. Also, what are they drinking?
Also, where are their mouths? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have like these. It's interesting. Since we're deconstructing it, all of the drinks have. They look like straws, but they're leads that are clearly going into them. Like they're not going into their mouth.
They're getting an oil.
That's all
getting
an oil.
That makes sense.
Like,
they're getting nice.
Getting oiled up.
Getting nice.
So we do
They're
know
getting
the
oiled
last
up at the bar.
We
Who are we to judge?
Yeah.
Who are we to judge?
Right? Who hasn't been there? So we've seen EV-99 before tending bar.
Oh yeah, at Chalmers, right?
Yeah, in Chalmers, and is it not Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett? I can't remember
Mandalorian.
which. They all kind of blend together now.
Yeah.
Mandalorian. So do you think this is just EV-99 who's now branched out on their own to get their own bar?
Who voices EV-99 now?
droids?
No, who? Should we know? Is it D. Bradley Big?
Is it not Mark Hamill?
Oh.
Oh, it might.
Is it not?
That's,
I don't know. I want to research that.
All right, check it out. That'd be interesting. But yeah, I mean, maybe now he's just like, actually, that would be a funny evolution of that bar if it like went from, your kind aren't welcome here to like now it's only droids that go into Chalmers Cantina. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. I have a
Mark
quick
Hamill.
answer. It's
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
In episode 10?
Rebels,
I believe.
or no, or was it in Mandalorian?
Episode chapter 5,
Okay.
the gunsling.
Oh, okay.
Chapter 10, the passenger. Yeah, I guess he's in multiple episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, he does,
I think it's Mark
show
Hamill.
up. He's
why would you know? I mean, you got to keep Mark Hamill in the series.
Obviously.
well, and he's always game.
And I
Yeah.
want to see EV-99's evolution in the Mandoverse. Like, I'm here for that story. So
Awesome. Oh, wow. That even blew up more than I thought it was going to. Yeah, just the droid scene alone is great. And then, yeah, we see a bunch of Mandalorians jump out of a starship into battle. There's a street fight with Paz Vizslas out there, the heavy gunner. And then we see a couple Anzellans just cackling away.
Yeah.
Babu Frick's
Babu
people.
Fricks.
And yeah, pretty wild.
I mean, is one of them Babu Frick? Because we've heard all but confirmed that like Babu Frick is in this episode.
I haven't heard that.
Like,
Have
not
you
just
heard that?
Oh,
Okay.
I've heard that it's not just like that's actual Babu Frick, but we'll see.
Nice.
We shall see. That might just be that they saw stills of that.
well,
and
Babu
made assumption.
Frick is like an expert droid smith. I wouldn't be surprised if there's other like sort of droid smiths and armorers.
Yeah.
And, engineers
especially
and whatnot. And Zelen.
It's interesting cut from a droid bar to a scene that has a possible droid smith in it, right? So we're going back to that, right, where a droid's playing, which again makes sense because we know how much Din Djarin dislikes droids. And then if we're talking about droids and droid smiths, do you think there's any chance we're gonna see our old friend IG-11?
Oh, I don't know. I thought he was dead. There's already a statue to him in the middle of Navarro.
Sure, but we're also going back to Navarro. Like, what's dead, right?
I know.
When
if
you're
the
talking about
Emperor
droids.
is still alive,
and you got
everyone's
droid
still
smith.
alive, right?
Yeah, he came back somehow through dark magic and sorcery,
and Babu Frick.
or just a droid.
Yeah.
Babu Frick returned
Right on.
somehow.
Oh man, that's fantastic. Great trailer.
That's
Can't
it,
wait.
right? It just ends on
Yeah.
Babu Frick going like,
cheering.
I am Babu Frick, and then just rolls credits.
Roll credits. Yeah,
Like-
that's pretty much it.
Screen black.
Well, you do get the weird cut at the end where you get Grogu encountering some creature in a
the
cave.
like forced standoff. I didn't look
Yeah.
up that creature,
And then-
but yeah, it is that one's precedented.
It's so
Yeah.
fast though. Like I've been.
It looked
watching
awesome.
that
That
for,
creature
last
looked
minute.
so
It looks
cool.
great.
I was like, I loved just how practical it looked.
Yeah, Yoda looked very Luke-like with his just like hand motion, and then like just the force push.
He had some days with Luke, clearly.
Yeah, he has picked up some of Luke's vibe.
But that Zen. He's got that like Return of the Jedi
Yes.
Zen that I miss so dearly that I thought I'd see the evolution
Yeah,
of.
me
Yeah.
too. Yeah, but yeah, it hurts. Grogu's great, and yeah, and the fourth was, and the Last Jedi is great too. But
It is.
yeah, so yeah, great one. I can't wait to see Grogu using the Force a little more. And I love, we talked about, or actually one of the ideas we had, or you had, Grant, I think, for the evolution of Luke is like he doesn't use his lightsaber anymore. So it's it'll be cool to see a Jedi be a Jedi without a lightsaber. As much as I love lightsabers.
Oh, he clearly uses his lightsaber. Like, no, I mean that's something that clearly, I mean, the Jedi the Luke we see is very much a lightsaber wielding Jedi.
Yeah, but now we're gonna. What I'm saying is that like Grogu is that Jedi that doesn't use a lightsaber, so we'll get to see that.
Yeah, totally.
And
no,
yeah.
He threw it away in Return of the Jedi, you know,
Yeah.
in a pretty defiant way.
No, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Why don't we get on to the Bad Batch? Wouldn't that be fun? Let's talk about that. Brand new episode.
Let's go to Safo Toma. Safo Toma? Yeah, that's happening.
If you're having clone problems, I feel bad for you, son. I have 99 problems, but the Bad Batch ain't one. Hit me!
All right, we are back, and we got a new Bad Batch episode this week. Adam, what? I think you've got a little information here for us about Faster. A little rundown.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let me give you a quick rundown, quick summary of Faster. All right, here we go. Sid elicits the service of Tech, Wrecker, and Omega while Hunter and Echo are out on a delivery run. Their mission? To serve as Sid's muscle while she gambles on Riot Racing on Safo Toma. What's Riot Racing? Well, it's basically pod racing, but with guns. In the first match, Teo, Sid's droid's racer, loses to Jet Venom, the Nazarian racer of Maleji's, a local crime boss, and an old rival of Sid's. Not able to settle up, Sid pleads for more time, while Omega suggests a classic double or nothing bet. Just as the second race is about to begin, Teo is accidentally run over by a speeder. Tech, who has been studying the racetrack, quickly volunteers to step in and fly the pod racer. It is a fast and furious race against the likes of Bosco, the Bad Bomber Bricks, Steelclaw Kane, Vicious Vid Santari, Haxon, the War Gnome,
We're talking about
Quick Draw Kazar, the Trickster, Flash Rakor, and Hyper Rod on his 7-deuce
Hyper
blaster.
Rod.
people go after other Star Wars things for these sort of get out of my sandbox story ideas, and then you get a Hyper Rod on his 7-deuce blaster. That is the most like
pretty great.
That is the most like. Are you even in the Star Wars galaxy anymore? What's that?
What, Hyper Rod?
I knew that was going to end it. All right, let me finish. All right, a couple more sentences. All right, but Tech uses a tried and true Mario Kart trick to beat them all. Going down the path marked "Do not enter." After he wins, the gang gets Sid back, but not before an ominous warning from Maleji. Sid cannot be trusted, and they should watch their backs.
Wow, man, that's the whole episode right there. You just did it. That was it. That was the whole thing. Wait, anyways, it's been a great podcast.
You'll get your credit.
You'll
get your credit.
Thank you so much for naming all of those drivers.
I was debating whether I have to do it.
Oh my gosh, I know they're so good. They're so good. Haxon the gnome.
Did you get Steelclaw Kane? Did you get that guy? Because that guy was ruthless.
Steelclaw
Kane.
That guy was the issue.
We also get not one but 2 protocol droid.
Yes, 2 protocol droid racers.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Oh yeah,
that was a choice.
And a B1 battle. And this is second segments in a row.
Yeah, Haxon the gnome is a synthwave painted protocol droid CP unit.
Oh, Haxon the War Gnome Trogenics.
Yeah.
What? That wins. That wins like Star Wars Name of the Year. We're gonna have our Star Wars Awards like episode where we're just gonna give like Name of the Year. This would win. This is it, people. Yeah, Riot Racing, pod racing plus battle bots. I wrote down like basically. Exactly.
Yeah.
Gambler's Cove was iconic.
Yes.
Never take the left.
Never at Gambler's Cove. Was that like? Wasn't there a thing in one of the Indiana Jones movies where you're like not supposed to take the left tunnel?
I think
it's
so.
It's Temple of Doom,
like,
and it's the mine cart. Yeah. Sorry, that was my Indiana Jones when I was a kid. Like I watched that every weekend.
Yep. Well, thank you for bringing that in. Because I couldn't quite place it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
what else
Teo,
stuck out?
let's talk about Teo for a second, because Teo is a character who I found really grating at first and then really grew on me very quickly. And that is played by voice actor and comedian Ben Schwartz, who does the voice for Sonic the Hedgehog in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
And he also did BB-8.
BB-8,
yeah, with Bill Hader.
Bill Hader. And Ben Schwartz's whole comedy styling is, man, I find that really annoying, and then it wins you over pretty quickly. And so, like, I love that he was able to do that as a droid, because the moment where he yells, "Where are my arms and legs?" I actively laughed out loud to a show that very rarely, like, I chuckle at things, but I actually was like guffawed this afternoon when I was watching that. It was a good delivery.
No.
Yeah, I regret nothing.
Yeah, I regret
nothing.
So
no, this was a funny episode. There was a lot. I mean, a lot of slapstick humor, like him getting hit by. He's like, and in my experience, the best defense is a good, and then he just gets plowed over.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about how all the racers get named, and they have sweet little nicknames.
Yeah,
or,
and then they go to Tech.
Go
Tech.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that it?
And then they go to Tech, and they're just like, and then Tech.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Like, it's just like,
I know. I think that's Grex Kondak's cousin, and he just like gets real for a second in there. Like you could see him in his like checkered sports coat, being like, "Is this real?" Like he's trying to like cover the mic, being like, "It's just Tech. It's just Tech." It was a good bit.
Did you notice how Teo's head rotates?
Yes.
It was super cool, and I can't figure out how to explain it to people who weren't watching it. Like I was literally trying to write it down, and I cannot explain it because it
Wait, who's
Teo's head? Teo the droid.
Oh, I thought Teo the droid design was amazing.
Cool.
Like really
because that way he can look behind himself like instantly
without having to rotate his head like 360.
Yeah,
like it rotates vertically, not horizontally.
Yeah,
and it's super. It was such a cool moment, and then he gets destroyed.
So there's optic sensors just like invert. I guess he doesn't need it to invert. He just still just cut. You just still.
But if he needs to look behind him while he's racing, it's just like flick.
It was it's such a nice little touch. I will say this was a very light episode for as much as it ends on a bit of a dark note. But you know what? That's what I like about the show. It's last week. I think we talked about how last week's episode was amazing and dark and whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I think in this show, with what this show is, you need a palate cleanser episode ever so often.
Yeah. This was super fun and so wild and so like Lucasian. It's like, I mean, it felt exactly like the pod race in episode 1, but it's great to see them do a little homage to the prequels because they deserve them.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the same sound effects, same sound design. But it still played, and it was a lot of fun. Movies are about speed, as Lucas tells us.
Right.
And it was a blast. And then it's another like Tech flex. Like Tech is getting this is second hero moment in like 4 episodes in.
That's right. He gets hit on last episode or 2 episodes ago by a character, right? Remember? Hit on. Remember, she's like the woman the character played by Wanda Sykes is giving all the bad all the people like bad nicknames.
So that's a third flex.
Who are you? Yeah, like ooh, yeah. It was a great moment.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
I like it, and I think it makes sense that you write out Hunter and Echo, who are good characters, but not really your comic relief characters. So if you want like slapstick to ensue, you need to get the 2 of them.
Yeah,
away.
They're not. Yeah, you're right. They're not funny. And you know what? Those Nerf nuggets aren't going to deliver themselves.
I did love the Wrecker bits that we got in this episode.
Yeah, Wrecker was great.
Like, I think like Jet Venom that like he like comes up and just cusses out like Tech or someone.
And Wrecker's like, what did he say?
I think it's Wrecker.
Yeah.
And he's like, what did he say? But it sounded like the worst possible thing you could get away with.
It was really great.
Yeah, Tech was like, you don't want to know. Like it was like disgusting.
The other thing about Tech and about the subtlety of the show is again, this is not me so smart. It's that this is storytelling at a certain level where like I was just waiting for like, all right, so clearly one of our main characters has to ride in this race. Like you can't do 25 minutes of just watching a droid do a race. Like this is where we're headed. And the second, Teo gets destroyed, you're like, okay, who's going to do it? And I'm like, all right, so Omega's going to get in it and she's going to be super great and whatever, which is like, I love Omega, But I was just like, and then literally in my mind, I'm sitting there as I'm watching the show, trying to take notes, trying to do everything else, critiquing something that hadn't even happened yet, right? Where I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, so is she force sensitive? I talked about the fact that maybe she's force sensitive. Like it's gonna be like Anakin, and it's really too close. Like I'm literally going on
Oh,
and
so
on
you
and
thought
on
it was
in
going to
my-
be a mega?
on and on and on and on in my head. And the second it was like tech, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that, because it's been setting it up the entire episode. But I just so thought it would be the kid doing it because you're so used to the kid
Right.
hero
The kid
in
hero.
Star Wars.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is.
Yeah, because these people aren't Qui-Gon Jinn. They're not going to let like a 6-year-old
Right, they would be like,
race
no.
a battle bots
Yeah.
like that.
No.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of a tease. It was like, so Sid was like, oh, we're going to go on this journey. I need some muscle. And Tech says something along the lines of, that is not adequate information to,
Right.
to go on, before we do it.
I require a more detailed briefing.
Thank you. That's exactly right. And then when he's talking smack, or Teo's like talking trash to him, he's like, well, what do you know about like racing or whatever? And Tech says,
A spectacled spectator, he
yeah,
calls him at
spectacled
one point?
spectator. Yeah. But yeah, Tech's like, he's like, I don't know enough about this sport. I like just learned about it. I just heard about it. He's like, I require more information before I can make a judgment. And you can see him like breaking it down on his screen and all that. But
Yeah.
Tech's a
Yeah, it
boss.
was cool to see him also in the race and sort of like his whole like super stratagem sort of master
Yeah.
sort of technician and it's just sort of MacGyver of the group.
Yeah,
And
totally.
like clearly these skills are being set up in a major
Yeah.
way. Like he's probably going to surmount some crazy thing
And then
come with
die?
it now.
Yeah. Probably.
Like, how do you like?
I mean, surviving the riot race might be like, if he can survive a riot race, then maybe he's gonna.
I know, but they're
survive.
pumping his tires so hard in these like this early season. I'm just like worried. It makes me worry about him.
Right? Like you're just like, he's the best. He's amazing. He can solve anything. And I'm like, can he?
I was worried about Wrecker last season. I was
You
like,
were.
I was basically like
Yeah.
devastated by Wrecker's arc. I was like, oh, this guy is.
He had a
Like,
great arc last season.
Yeah.
yeah, he had a great arc.
I've been rewatching season 1 actually.
Oh,
Usually
nice.
after these podcasts, I go and sit down and take in a couple more episodes, and it has a different vibe. A very
One?
good vibe, but
Yeah.
it's different. It's more
Wait,
solemn.
so 1 and 2 right now. 1 does feel a little bit darker, right? Like it's sort of like the transition,
Yes.
like is really emphasized.
it's a more
like,
solemn
It
vibe.
own
starts
phased
very
out,
solemn
like,
and
that's
dark.
really harped on
Yeah.
in the first.
But even then,
And
I mean,
it's not. It's in this season, but like, I guess it. Well, again,
because
I
they're
thought
like-
episode
they-
3
they're
was
lost.
a masterpiece of animation.
Yeah.
I thought episode 3 of this season was
That's
just
the thing.
yeah,
out of this.
yeah. I feel like this
out of the
season hasn't even started yet.
No. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know.
when we
Like Crosshair is just getting good. Like
Yep.
I cannot wait
So-
for the continuation of Crosshair's story. It's so cinematic.
it
like,
really
it's just-
is.
It gets
It
to be
really
cinematic, which is cool because it's just one person.
That's
So
the
it's like
thing.
it really gets to be intimate. And I was like, whoa! Like when this sort of animation gets to be intimate and not focus on an ensemble, it's very fun.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool.
It feels
Yeah.
like right now we have parallel stories, right? And where we're dealing with the Bad Batch themselves, it's light in tone because we've only had episodes 1, 2, and 4, and they've been fairly lighter episodes. Episode 3, when we're dealing with Crosshair, very dark. It's really interesting how they're messing around with tone. And I think once we start seeing those two interact or intersect, that's when the tone's going to shift dark. Like I don't
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to shift light for Crosshair. I think it's going to shift dark for the Bad Batch, and maybe because we lose a character. Maybe a character we've talked about.
No, bro.
Not today on this pod. I hope.
No. Oh man,
No.
it could be. It could be.
It's all fine. Everyone's going to be happy.
Yeah.
There's no death. It's great. It's not like they've been killing off plenty of people. It's not like in this episode they killed a random spectator
I
of a sport
know.
as a laugh moment.
Yeah.
I was like, I was watching. I'm like, this is a kid show.
I know there was like a Tom and Jerry moment there where they're like, everyone's like, oh, we're fine. And one guy's just like, oops, there's a hole in my heart. And then everyone starts drinking again and cheering. And like, it was a laugh moment. It was wild.
Yeah. We also see some character development for Sid, though, right? We get a little bit of Sid development once again.
Are you
Sidoran Scaleback or whatever?
Citterin Scaleback.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet Trandoshan name. I
Yeah.
love it.
Classic. Yeah. Her and Malegi. I'm I'm very intrigued by Malegi actually, and his
Me
words of
too.
warning. And I wonder, look, first of all, don't you have notes on the fact that like they're busting their humps for Sid, the Bad Batch is, and then she's betting on horses essentially? You know, like
Yeah.
they're like,
Doesn't seem like a very
I mean,
stable or trustworthy.
yeah, like maybe she's got her own money and they have theirs, but like, is she betting with like their money and like they're ringers? She's got a team of ringers. And like,
Yeah.
is she taking that for granted? I don't know. I don't trust Sitter and Scaleback.
Well, what if I think there's a few dominoes that may have been set up including with this episode in a major way in terms of like the clones themselves. I feel like at the end of this episode, it's kind of insinuated that Sid is not to be trusted.
Yeah.
Like, watch your back.
Yeah, I mean, Malegi
kind of what the antagonist guy
says it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense, right? The 90, they can't stay working for her forever, right? Like they need to like go on their own way. They already teased it early in the season where she's like, if we make this score, you guys don't have to work for anybody. So like they seem to be headed in that direction. I hope they are. Because it's like, it's fun, everything's great, but like, it's just Star Wars. I like it because the galaxy is nigh on infinite. Like, let's go to new places. Let's see some new things. And, Pandora's been fun and all, but let's move on and send these guys in a new arc, in a new direction. I need like 4 of these episodes in a row. Like, I would like, I'd like chunks of 4, I think would be good for me. Like 30 minutes is like, it's just like a little teaser. It's a little teaser, but it's not a meal. No. It's like a tapas. And I don't eat tapas because the food's too small.
I feel like this show is meant to be a little more bingeable than the other Star Wars main shows, right? For that reason. I understand Disney Plus has their model where they release week to week, and I mostly applaud that. I didn't realize how much I missed that until Disney Plus brought that back.
You missed having to wait a week?
Yes, I did, honestly. Yeah, because these shows stick in my head. Because the problem is when I would binge a show I love,
Ben and I would burn through this show.
Right. But that's my point. Is this show I would burn through very happily and get a lot out of. But the problem is pre like The Mandalorian, I would binge a show I loved. And then because I watched it in 2 days, I'd forget
all the things that happen.
All the things. And I feel like for some reason watching it week to week, it sits in my brain better. Like I can pretty much tell you the plot of almost every Mandalorian episode and every Andor episode in a way I couldn't do if I was just watching it all in one setting. But the Bad Batch, I feel like I don't that's not a necessity. Like I feel like if I was able to binge it, I'd be able to tell you the main arc of the season, which I think is more important than the individual episodes arcs.
Word. That's a good point.
But something I think could be something that the episodes are alluding towards is at the end of this they say watch out for Sid, and then in the last episode I think Rampart says the clones are like going AWOL more often, more frequently. I wouldn't be surprised if like there's eventually like bounties up for clones because like. Something like that, and then Sid's like, you know what, turning you guys into the Empire, like, or something. That'd be awesome.
I've had a bad run at the horses. I need some money. I need some fast cash.
Okay. I don't know if I'm jumping on that one, but that's an idea.
Don't jump on that one. I'm just saying it's interesting that we're getting this message.
It could get flipped, or you could do a thing where Sid sends them on a bounty to like collect droids or something for the Empire, and then it's like, okay.
I mean, that's probably what it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, I do think there's going to be a test for Sid this season for her loyalties, and I'm guessing she's going to pass it because we've been told not to trust her now for a season and a half.
Right.
But we do see a bit in this. We see this moment where she realizes how much she owes them.
Yeah.
And you can see it internally. And then she puts on the false front of acting tough and whatever, but you can see it landed for her. You can see it hit home. So I think we're gonna get that test and then she's
I hope
pass it.
That would be great.
Yeah,
I would love something like
Yeah.
that. Sid-demption.
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 Okay.
Well done.
Nice.
Fight the writer.
The other thing we kind of skipped over, but it was a little bit of a meta moment, is and I just wanted to bring it up, was after Tech wins the race and everyone's cheering, he goes, you all sound surprised.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not good. He's obviously going to win. But I thought that was a little meta and kind of
That's a
funny.
good
And
one.
it's like he's like, why do you all look surprised?
That's my favorite aspect of Tech
Yeah.
is he has like zero anxiety. He's already done
Yeah,
all of them.
he's
Yeah.
done all the calculations. He
Right.
knows.
Like
Yeah.
you're right. The Havoc Marauder is crashing. It has one wing left and like no engines. And he's just there being like, well, the normal probabilities would be bad here, but if we use the updrafts, it's like, he's like so calm in the face of die or whatever. Good skill. But
Great
so
character.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Fun day today, guys. Fun pod. Good talking to you.
Absolutely.
It was great. I love, last week we were just like, oh man, Andor might have killed Star Wars. Obviously not, we're not serious about that, but it's like, it was so good that I was like, how's anything going to stand up? And then I looked at this trailer and I'm like, and we were just like giggling like children for like 40 minutes about a 3-minute trailer and how bad we can't wait to see it.
It scratches a totally different
Different
itch.
itch. Exactly. I just needed the Mando trailer to be like, oh yeah, no, Star Wars. Star Wars is great.
Yeah.
It's not just one thing.
Yeah.
It's not just Andor.
We're like, well,
be a
maybe
lot of different
R2, if he like split from Anakin and then he could save the person, and that way we can get Anakin in this show.
Yeah.
And like,
By the way, you're not going to get that conversation in Andor.
yeah,
Like that's not even a possibility in
that's
Andor.
not
As much as I
happening.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's
They're like,
chocolate
who
and
the
vanilla.
F is R2. Yeah.
Rocky Road and Heath Bar Crunch. Yeah. Okay. Great times, y'all. We'll try to stream again next week. We'll run some more tests. We'll probably say we're going to do it again, and then maybe we'll do it, or maybe it'll just be this.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah. Please, if we post on social media and you see we're doing it and you're excited, I would say 2 things. Don't rearrange your life on it. But if you happen to be there and want to check it out, check it out. And if we're not there in 10 minutes,
Forgive us.
Go do something else, and we'll apologize later.
Yeah.
But we're trying. We'll
we're
get it.
trying.
We promise we'll get there.
Bumbling our way through life. Yeah, awesome. We love you all. Thanks very much for listening to us. Have an awesome week. We'll talk to you next week about... actually, we're going to talk about Bad Batch Episode 5, and I think we're going to also talk about the High Republic audio drama known as Battle of Jedha.
The Battle
by George
of Jedha.
Mann.
Yeah.
Which I am halfway through right now.
Nice. I'm about to jump into. I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking about that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a blast, y'all. So
It'll be some Crichton fun.
Creighton Sun fun?
Fun in the sun with Crichton. Sun.
Yes.
Yeah. Really good.
Yeah, it'll be there.
I got nothing.
Cregan will also be there, and Cregan likes his shekels.
Welcome to Jedha.
Welcome to Jedha. It's bonkers.
That'll be 5 credits.
Yes. The Force doesn't actually need to be free. May the Force be with you always. And this is when the outro starts.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you always.